Today, we're taking this 2011 Mercedes E-Class from this to this. We're installing an XTRONS Android head unit with a 12.3-inch screen, built-in wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, all while retaining access to the original car interface and backup camera. So the first step to upgrading our screen is to remove this trim panel here. So that's the vents, the center vents, and the passenger vents. So we're going to start here, and we actually have to get into the glove box right here, and we're looking right here at these two metal clips. So we want to pull these down, and you use an angled pick. Just pull them down like that, and that frees this part. It's clipped in here. And then in here we have two little tabs to pull. So right there, and the other one, or same thing, but right here. And essentially these two tabs, we're gonna pull them in to release. So you just push them inward with a pick. So we're gonna go like that, push it in. You can actually see it a little bit right there. Pull that in. And then it's there as well. Let me do that. So we're going to start from here. Just gently pry these off. It's starting to come off in here already. I think the outside. There we go. Carefully there. Almost had it, okay. Go. Carefully pull this forward. We got three connectors up here, and these are two metal clips that we released. And then on the vent, there's these spring clips there, and on the bottom, there's two more. There we go. So you can see right here, these are the retainers that snap in here. So when you reach in from the inside, what you're doing is pushing this in so it releases, and same thing right here. Okay, I'm gonna put this somewhere safe. And then right here we have one screw here, one screw here that hold this unit in place. And then we'll also remove the bezel up there. For the bezel, you're going to want to carefully pull it forward. There we go. It pulls forward, straight out. You might want to angle it a bit. It's got a couple clips here. There's 4 clips. So put that aside. And then this one is held on with 2 T20 screws. Actually, these two are also T20s, so let's get those out. And these are fairly fine threads. There we go. Okay, so now that the screws are out, we can pull this screen out. Now, it's a pretty tight fit, but the way you take it out is to tilt it forward. And then you can kind of bring it forward carefully. And it's got 2 connectors on the back here. So that can slide out. And right here you can see one connector here and one here. This one has a little clip that you can push in and release. You need to use both hands. Go. And this is a metal connector. You're gonna have to wiggle it out carefully because it's in pretty tight. There we go. That's those 2 connectors. You can put that aside. We won't be reusing it, but if you ever want to return it back to stock, just keep it on hand. And then the radio, after removing those 2 screws, you can just pull forward. Might be pretty tight in there. I'm gonna grab it, pull it forward. Oops. You want to be careful because on this side here, there's a little connector and it won't let you pull it all the way out without undoing it. Just reach in. You could probably use a trim tool if it's hard to access. Just push on the catch and carefully pry it back. There we go. And you can keep pulling it forward. And I put a microfiber here to protect the wood because you don't want to scratch all your wood. So I can tip that down. And back here we have a bunch of connectors. So we've got all color-coded, green, blue, white, and then another metal connector, just like this one. So I'm gonna undo those. There's little clips or little catches to release here. So on all the color-coded ones, there's little catches. They can be in pretty tight, and then the metal connector just pull out carefully. And on the other end here, there's on the bottom side a cam lock. So you're gonna wanna reach, squeeze it, and remove it, and that frees out the radio. So with that, you can move this aside. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna put it somewhere safe because we're gonna reuse it. I'm gonna show you how this connector works. It's gonna be snapped in like this. There is a little catch right here that you wanna release. It's a little hard with one hand, but squeeze that, pull it back, angle that out, and then it'll slide out. This is our main connector. These are the color-coded connectors. They'll match the ports on the back of the unit. This here is for the display up here. And then this is for the HVAC module or the heated seat controls and stuff like that. Now you'll see back here we have the white, blue, and green connectors that we disconnected over there. But it's possible there's also a tan and a brown one. The metal cable comes in here, and our main connector is in here. It's also possible you'll have a connector here, but that's for different specs. I do want to point out that when you remove this unit, it also contains the CD changer, and if you have CDs in it, you probably want to remove them before you take the unit out. So with everything removed here, let's go take a look at the new harnesses and the screen and mounting hardware. So our kit comes with two boxes. Got the main unit and the mounting pack. So let's start with the main unit. It's got a little user manual for the interface. Got the unit itself right here. There's connection ports here and a nice screen here. And then under here we have all the harnesses. So we have our main harness right here, which has, if you'll recognize this from the car and the command unit, this side's going to go to the car harness, this side's going to go into the command unit. So we've got the car side by the command unit, we've got the side that goes to the radio, and off of this we also have a few other things. We've got a microphone input if you want to use an external microphone, so you could run that by the windshield. There's also a microphone built into the unit itself. We've got some video inputs. We've got SPDIF input. We also have an external speaker here that we can mount somewhere, or we'll test out to see if we need it. And then right here, there's the audio output, which will be connecting to the car's aux input. Now, speaking of the car's aux input, that's usually in the glove box with the connector like this and an aux input like this. You may already have one, but there is one included in here. I actually have one in the car that has the aux input and the 30 pin for an iPod, an old iPod. So I might use that, but it's very nice that this is included. Now we also have this harness, which has the LVDS input, or an LVDS input, because that essentially allows the car's factory screen system to be routed through the new screen, so you can still see all the settings and the backup camera. Now this one specifically is for the 4-pin LVDS, but you'll notice that this actually matches the connector on the back of the screen we removed. So it'll actually be connecting into here. Now what this harness also does is it adds 2 USB ports to your head unit, so you could route those wherever you need to use wired CarPlay and wired Android Auto, though the unit does work with wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay. And we also have a 4G antenna and a GPS antenna and a little SIM card tool. Now there's a SIM card tool and a 4G antenna because this unit is able to have a SIM card. So there's a little SIM card tray in here. and there's a little tool to remove it. So if you want to have data on board, you can use that. If you prefer to use Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, you can just connect your phone and you'll get all your data through there that way, through that interface. Now the mounting hardware, it's like this. It comes with some screws, an installation manual, which actually covers all the connections and the installation procedure. So it shows you some of the removal procedures and all that. And right here is the bezel itself. So if you have a right-hand drive car, you'll get a different one than this because you'll have to get the one that matches your dash. And it looks like this. So this is gonna mount where the old screen was. These covers will actually allow you to put the screws in, the same screws that held that screen in, and it'll hold this in. And then we got these two screws for the included hardware right here that will hold the unit in. And that is through these, under these covers. This is where the screws will go in and screw into here. So now we can get back into the car. All right, so the first thing we need to do with our harness, oh, you can see that fiber optic light turned on. So the first thing we need to do with our harness is to connect this side to that. But there's one thing, actually, speaking of the fiber optic, we have to remove that from this harness. So the way that works is right here, there's a little clip or a little tab, and we want to pull that outwards and slot this out of it. I'm going to use a little pick and very carefully push that back and then slide it up and out. There we go. You'll see right here on this side there's a little raised piece there, and that's what snaps in. And so this comes back here, Gabe. So if you need to, you can free it from the fabric tape that wraps it. Also, I forgot to mention that these might be clipped in further back out of the way, so it makes it easier when it's unclipped. All right, so now that we have that out, we're gonna take this side and plug it in here. So you wanna align this so the small array goes into here and the vertical ones go into the top. So again, it's a cam lock, so start it like this, line it up. This here is gonna catch into these little round spots in there. So angle this up, get in, and then it locks in. And on this side, you can see there's no fiber optics, but we want to keep that. So that has to stay plugged into the head unit, or the command unit. So we're gonna start moving this in, grab our fiber optics, and just make sure that little catch is facing up. And we're going to the outer one. Snap it in. That is the main harness ready to go. This is going to go into the command unit here. This will also go there, and then this harness here has to start working. We have to work it up into this area. Now, as much as I'd like to be able to go straight up, there are vents here, so we have to go over to the side. So what we're going to do now to get better access and help route that wiring up into the top opening is to remove the glove box. So the first step is to pull off our side panel here. This hooks in with 3 clips there and right here, and they clip in here, here, and here. It's going to go over, but also there's 2 clips that like slide in forward that way into this opening up here and one down here. Now up at the top we have 1, 2, and then a 3rd screw behind this cover. It's right here. So we're gonna pop this cover out. Yep, these are T20s. There's also 2 screws under at the bottom that we're gonna have to undo as well. But to do that, we have to remove this panel. So that is held in with 1, 2, 3 screws. So I'm gonna take care of those. There's one screw right here, right there, and one back here, right there, right back in here. We'll start with the one here. These are more like the ones on the lower panel. The ones that hold the bottom of the glove box have the bigger washer integrated. Now we're gonna have a couple things to disconnect. There's the aux port here, probably I think a switch there and a light at the top. Oh, and these top screws here have the big washer. It's not really a washer, it's just an integrated washer, I guess. And that should slide out forward. Carefully. There's a connector right here. There's a connector on the side over here. So we got a blue connector there. We got a connector right here to figure out how to undo. And then there's one, well, I don't know if that one comes undone anywhere. But we can probably support this and work on it out here. So I'm gonna undo this. Here we go. Let's align it sideways here and try to work around it. So if you're wondering what this red wire is, it's from something else. It's for the dash cam, tapped into power for the 12-volt socket that's in there. So nothing you need to worry about. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna reach through here and help route the bundle of wires up into here. So I'm gonna take this, hand it over through here, and then up past that, up along here, and out here, yep. There we go, so we can kind of pass that through. I also want to pull through all those extra connectors, like the video stuff and all that. And this little fuse box has to move further in too. I'll unplug this external speaker for a little bit. We'll reconnect it up at the top and decide what to do, and we test it out. That's in. This will get wrapped up and tucked away later. And our main radio harness is in place here. There we go. We got some length. Can go in. This will get tucked in and back later. And now's a good time to talk about our aux cable. So we do need this aux cable to connect to here, aux out. Now this is going to come up through here. And extend this, run this out here, plug it in here, bam. And what I've actually done already here, I've drilled a little hole in here. So in the glove box, next to the port, there's a little hole there. And that's going to allow me to run this aux cable from up here, down over, and into here. And so what this means is that in this aux port adapter, you know, the one that's included or the one you already have, Mercedes part with the aux input, that's going to take the audio output from the new unit and route it into the car's aux input. So that is routed. In fact, I can just plug it in here. Take this and plug it in here. And there we go. So that is routed. Now, actually, I could just realign this and pop it in. So I'm gonna connect this in here, make the blue thing here. And I'm gonna slide it into place. All right, I've got one of the screws in holding it, and that should work for now. All right, so now let's talk about one other thing. If you want to run a USB cable and plug into this and have it come out somewhere, you could run one into the glove box, or you could remove a little more, like remove the cup holder and this panel and then run them into the center console. That's entirely up to you, but since the unit has wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, you shouldn't need to worry. I'm just mentioning it now because this would be a good time to do it, so you can run the wires down and over. So one thing I'm going to do is wrap these in fabric tape. That way, if they're not secure, they won't rattle here. You know, plastic on plastic, whereas if you have fabric tape, it should be less noticeable. Okay, so the big connector at the back that connects the harness to the piggyback harness is going to go down. I want that to go downward. We want this extra wiring to, I guess we'll try to wrap it up as well. This should go down, or down and over if we can, maybe over. Let's see. Let me give this a little wrap as well. All right, let's see. Can this get back in here? All right, again with this, connector up, slide it on. Okay, let's see. There's a lot of cables back there, and let's see. It's gonna be a tight fit. All right, we'll test it like this, and then I'll have to get back in and mess with all the wiring so I could tuck it out of the way enough. All right, let's go get our mounting hardware. All right, so with our panel here, we want to look at which side which connector goes. So our wide connector is on the right, so this one will come in the right opening, and our this one would go on the left. So I guess we'll tuck this in temporarily, just while we test this through. We also need this one here. Let's go sit like that. Okay, this here is gonna go on the metal connector, and this one's gonna go on the radio. We'll also put in, before we wrap up, we'll put in our GPS and 4G antenna, but first we're just gonna test things. So I'm gonna snap that main one in. And it slots in vertically. Here we go. Now we could test. Let's see. Okay, it's booting up. That's good. XTRONS, nice. It looks really modern already. All right, so we're in. So let's see. Right here, got it. Okay, this is what's important. NTG menu, that is the original system, and then you can navigate it with the dial built in like the original, and put into reverse. Camera comes on. Back in park, goes away. We double check. Now if we're just doing something else, pops right in automatically. That works. Let me double check audio. We're gonna connect my Android phone right here. The steering wheel volume works because it's just the same as this dial here. All right, sounds good. Yeah, we'll go into this a little further when we review it, but yeah, it's got a bunch of stuff. That is really good. Awesome. Okay, Now, there's something we do want to check: NTG setup. Okay, so I'm going to go through this real quick. General settings. Original rear camera is what you want to use, so it'll pipe through the car's built-in camera. Factory head unit parameter setting, you want to choose the one that matches. I'm NTG 4.0. It looks like this. Factory head unit with navigation, yes. Factory head unit with aux, yes. Your resolution, leave it as is. All this, yep. Vehicle type sedan. Vehicle connection type aux, and that is how it's working for me. All right, cool, awesome, it works. Now we just need to figure out the wiring back here so this can actually go in, and then we can tidy up the wires back there, and we'll be good to go. Pop this out. Wow, that's tight. All right, let's go back in. This can go right here. So that will obviously screw that in for the permanent install. Okay, now we can work on, I guess the first thing we're gonna work on is the wiring for this. So I'm gonna disconnect our small connector on the side. Go. So I'm gonna try to do is push as many wires as possible over to the right into the space towards the glove box. Yep, pretty close on this side. There's still stuff on the other side then. It took me multiple attempts to adjust the wiring so it could fit the unit back all the way, but I got there in the end. That's in. Let's get the screws in here. Don't forget when you're trying to slide this in that there's that connector on the right that may be getting in the way at the end. Last quarter to half inch could be that. You want that main connector from the car to the piggyback harness to be center and down. Also, be sure to put masking tape here when you're putting this in and out, because this is wood and you might scuff it. Just want to make sure to avoid that. Keep it in mind. Snug. All right, now I'm going to work on wrapping up all the extra wiring that we're not going to be using here. So I'm going to bundle this up with some electrical tape and fabric tape just to keep it out of the way and secure. I'll just have it tucked back there. That'll be good. Yeah, I'm going to put this one in too, just to have it there. Again, as we saw, it's not critical unless you want to use the USB ports or you have the other style of LVDS. It's probably a later style. Oh yeah. I'm gonna mount the 4G antenna behind this panel so that it's out of the way, but in a good spot. Then the GPS antenna will go in the back, wrapped in fabric tape. All right, so I'll be right back once this is all wrapped up, and we'll start putting it together. All right, so I have the antenna right here. I'm gonna figure out which hole that should go through. I guess it doesn't really matter because it's in the center. I've wrapped up my GPS antenna. So I'm going to place that in here too. Have these cables here. This one is going to go in like that. So I'm going to place this into here. This comes out on this side. Metal cable on this side. Other connector here. And GPS antenna here as well. Before I do that, let me show you a little closer. Fabric tape in there. Stuff. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should have labeled which one of these is which. Okay. So you want to know which one is GPS. So I'm going to separate which one goes out of which. GPS should come out on the left. 4G on the right. Okay, that's all here. And get our factory screws from the original screen. Oh, I gotta put these covers back on. There we go. Now we can put our connectors in. GPS on the left side. Okay. On the main harness. Snaps in. Push it back. Align it. Slide it down. And right here we have to pop these covers off. You see the screw holes there? You get your included screws. I recommend a magnetic screwdriver to guide it in. There we go. All right, let's test it one more time. Sounds good. So now that that's in, let's put the glove box back in. Let's start with this one right here. That is the narrow. Put our little carpet cap back in here. It's hidden. Now we can do our wide ones up here. Now you can do the bottom ones. Again, big flares down here. It's in. Now we can put this panel back in over here. Let's see, so that pops in there. That one there. Okay, pop there. So it kind of hinges up there and down there. You can actually see the spring clip in there. So if that pops out, you can look in there. Now the final piece across here. Make sure your little tabs here are out of the way. All right. Now that is a modern look. So that wraps up the install. I think it looks really good, it really modernizes the car, and it adds a ton of features. I'll be making a review video in a few weeks once I've had time to use it more, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. I want to say a huge thank you to XTRONS for making this video possible, and I'll leave a link in the video description if you want to get one for yourself. And there's also a coupon down there too. If you have any questions about the install, let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.